the next few weeks, patients will be able to go into this new COVID unit and will be treated in the new COVID unit.
If you know that your alcohol prices are high on the shelf for Bahamian consumers, take them off.
Recorded an all-time high number of COVID-19 cases. Good morning, everyone. I'm LaDawn Davis, and this is the Morning Edition. Thank you so much for tuning in. So far, it's the highest number of cases for a single community in the daily COVID findings. Out of the 53 new cases on Thursday, New Providence accounted for 51, including the 9 pending cases. There were 2 new cases over in Grand Bahama. Currently, New Providence has a total of 546 COVID cases, Grand Bahama 440, and the nationwide count now stands at 1,089. With the growing number of cases now coming out of New Providence as well as the Family Islands, we questioned the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Dr. DeLon Brennan, about the COVID-19 protocols in the islands and concerns over the current spread of the virus in communities.
For those in New Providence, it continues to be a concerning issue, but not an unexpected one. What it means that the idea that we knew that there would be an increased number of cases given the exposures and the numbers we were already seeing via the modeling are just bearing fruit. Even with decreased amount of interaction due to some of the lockdowns and curfews, we knew that those who had been exposed would now be presenting because they are having symptoms, and those who were not having symptoms were identified via contact tracing. Some of those individuals were going to be found and tested, and they were going to show up as positive. So it's well within the expectations of what was going to happen, but it also should bring some awareness to the public that this disease continues to be out there. It's affecting individuals. It's growing in a way that we would be able to predict. And if we don't take the measures that have been put in place seriously, we will continue to see increased numbers, and we will start to see some deleterious effects on our population.
I'm keying in on that component of exposure. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as well as during the weekend, there is some level of exposure within members of the public and essential staff on the weekend. Is this a challenge moving forward?
Yes, absolutely. It's a challenge. I know the government is making an attempt to balance the issues around the economy, access to resources and food, whether, that's money when banks are open, medications and the like. So it is quite a balancing act that they have to perform. From a healthcare perspective, we would love, honestly, for us to minimize or eliminate all potential exposures and have everyone eliminate their ability to interact for, a period of time, ideally between 2 weeks and 4 weeks, that would allow us to be able to make sure that virus transmission is gone to an absolute minimum. But unfortunately, because people still have to eat and still have to, access some of those services, it means there are going to be additional exposures. So we have to take that in mind and realize that it is going to be a slow turn toward the better as we try to implement measures, but also balance those other social determinants.
I know it may be a little early, but we're yet in August, and traditionally the school semester starts around the end of August, early September. Have there been any initial discussion or suggested protocols for possibly reopening schools?
There has been some discussion. I think when we've seen the communications from the Ministry of Education, that their expectation is that they will be able to resume school services around the 3rd week of September. And that's our expectation at present. We are working hard with all of our partners to be able to make sure that that's a reality. The volume and the increase and burden of disease that's going on in the country will really dictate. And a lot of that is just predicated upon how we will, as a populace, will approach the exposures, our movements, our ability to decrease the spread of this disease. And if you were to ask, is it possible that we could have it underway under wraps in a way that we will not necessarily have as much disease by that time? Absolutely. Can we do it? Absolutely. But it is, do we have the will to sacrifice during this present time period to make that happen? And so far, that's been more of our challenge, just our willingness to do what is necessary in order to get this right.
You will hear more this afternoon from the COVID-19 health team about the challenges facing the Bahamas and those efforts to mitigate the spread of the virus. Now, a Ministry of Health press conference is set for 3 o'clock this afternoon. It will be carried live on the ZNS television and radio network. Meantime, the Public Hospitals Authority continuing its efforts to minimize the spread of COVID-19 exposure to staff and patients. The PHA has also improved its bed capacity at the Princess Margaret Hospital through the transfer of borders and has secured a private facility off-site to quarantine and treat suspected COVID-19 cases. Measures have also been implemented to increase and provide a consistent stock of personal protective equipment to staff across all facilities. Now, regarding COVID-19 cases, the PHA confirmed that there has been an increasing number of COVID-19 cases across the healthcare facilities over in Grand Bahama and here in New Providence. The University of the Bahamas also announcing that 2 of its employees have tested COVID-19 positive. A UB release indicated that the individuals were operating from an isolated area. The health surveillance unit is conducting contact tracing to determine the level of exposure to any essential employee. This comes as all University of the Bahamas campuses remain closed and operate remotely. UB says the necessary protective and sanitization measures are taking place at the university's campuses for the eventual resumption of on-site operations. Sanitizers and plexiglass are also being installed in high-traffic areas, and offices and buildings are being inspected for mold. The competent authority issuing the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Lockdown Amendment No. 4, stipulating that on the island of New Providence, retail bakeries are not permitted to operate, and a hardware store referred to in the order means a hardware store that sells lumber and a concrete supplier. All other hardware stores are to remain closed. The Prime Minister maintains, though, that these measures are being taken in the best interest of public health and safety. Meantime, the nation's leader, Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, has described the COVID status on Grand Bahama as grave as the number of confirmed cases continue to rise. As health officials work to reduce the numbers and flatten the curve, the Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, says the government is working diligently to establish a COVID unit on Grand Bahama.
That COVID unit is nearing completion, and we expect that within the next few weeks, patients will be able to go into this new COVID unit and will be treated in the new COVID unit. Several months ago, recognizing the situation that we were facing in Grand Bahama, the government, along with the Grand Bahama Port Authority, secured the Cancer Association. The government made the necessary modifications to ensure that they had the negative pressure for the Cancer Association, and now the Cancer Association is the facility that is housing all of the COVID patients and all of those persons who are suspected of being COVID positive.
The restrictions implemented during this lockdown is reportedly taking a toll on many residents throughout the island. Minister Thompson says the government is mindful of this, and that is why adjustments are being made.
That the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday were very difficult for residents. We are very pleased that the Prime Minister listened to the residents' call and changed the shopping days for food stores to Monday through Friday, which we believe has already helped. We have already seen a drastic decrease in the long lines that persons had for the food stores. We also believe that the Prime Minister is going to listen to the medical professionals, as he's indicated, with respect to wash houses, and we expect that the Prime Minister will make an announcement shortly with respect to whether or not the wash houses will be allowed to open. Obviously, the facilities are at capacity in Grand Bahama, and that is a huge challenge.
The appeals continue to pour in for the reopening of laundromats across the country. Over in Grand Bahama, President of Creative Works Peter Adderley represents local laundromats and dry cleaners. He contends, though, that the cries are loud, as many residents say these services should be regarded as essential.
So imagine those homes with 4 and 5 people where dirty clothes are just piled up night and day, night and day. I know of a family, the husband works at the Grand Bahama shipyard and the wife is a nurse. Imagine their uniforms. The police officers who are working seemingly extended hours, they need to go to the dry cleaners, I'm sure, and get their uniforms clean, nurses, doctors, and on all of us in our everyday life. We've been asked to wash our hands constantly, but we need to take regular baths, as we should have been doing all along. And when you do that, you change. You don't put on dirty clothes after you take a bath. And so the clothes are piling up in these homes here on Grand Bahama.
Inspectors from the Price Commission sending another strong warning to retailers and wholesalers for price gouging on rubbing alcohol that's become an essential item during the current pandemic. ZNS News has learned that the popular item that's been going off the shelves pretty fast is on sale at some convenience stores around town for about $4, and in other stores close to $6 per bottle. Over on the Family Islands, the price for rubbing alcohol is even higher at $14 per bottle. President of the Price Commission, Danny Sumner, says a large number of complaints have been filed, and his team, led by Chief Inspector Eula Gordon, is working diligently to solve the issue.
There was at least 5 cases right now, as I speak, that have been actively investigated by the price inspectors. We look at this case and cases as being burdensome for the Bahamian consumers. And our job is to make correction where correction is to be made. If there's violation in our investigation, then that will be determined by the AG office and, of course, the Minister for Consumer Affairs, who is Dion Folks, who is also a lawyer.
Sumner once again gave this strong warning to wholesale distributors who are knowingly robbing the pockets within the high prices of the item.
Those retail stores that are selling alcohol, and if you know that price is high or higher than it should be, we will be looking at you. Let us be a warning. We will be looking at you. So if you know that your alcohol prices are high on the shelf for Bahamian consumers, take them off. Remove them, because we're coming after you. You have to justify to the Bahamian public your pricing. Okay? And I am sick and tired of Bahamian being complained and gouged with these pricing.
Of East Street South on this Friday morning. Of course, on the other side of the break, a look at your overnight traffic as well as some important tips to motorists going in to the weekend.
Hi, welcome to Dream Girls. We offer a wide variety of hair care, and your everyday beauty needs.
Here at Dream Girls, we carry a wide variety of products for natural or relaxed hair, such as ORS, Pure Care, and Shea Moisture. We also carry a large selection of weaving, braiding, and crochet hair. You can expect to find a private wig room, a large variety of products, and service with a smile. Whether you're shopping for a party, a corporate event, or your everyday working woman, Dream Girls can make your dream become a reality. Live your dream, experience your dream, Dream Girls.
We have 3 convenient locations to serve you: Village Road Shopping Center, Prince Charles Shopping Center, and Legacy Plaza located on Prince Charles next to BTC Cash and Go. Here at Dream Girls, enhancing beauty becomes your reality.
Friday's traffic could be building as shoppers are now heading to food stores before the weekend lockdown. Here's Lloyd Allen and the Morning Edition traffic team.
The traffic report is sponsored by Bahamas First. First in insurance. Today, tomorrow.
Well, good morning, LaDon. Good morning, Bahamas. It's a great start to your Friday morning. Of course, as you can see in this shot, it's a busy scene at the Rubens gas station here on East Street South. Many persons coming in to get fueled up after that lockdown yesterday, as well as at this gas station, the city market. Loads of cars there, many persons coming in to get those important essentials ahead of the weekend. This morning, I'm speaking with Sergeant Cressida Johnson from the Royal Bahamas Police Force Traffic Division, who's giving us a beautiful look at overnight traffic.
A pleasant good morning to you and a pleasant good morning, Bahamas. Well, over the 24-hour period, we've had 3 traffic accidents, 2 involving damages and 1 involving injury, minor injury. And we also have 9 persons who are hospitalized as a result of being involved in a traffic accident.
Now, Sergeant Johnson, again, as we arrived on the scene this morning, we've seen that it's been a very, very busy area. Many persons are out and about, cars moving in all directions, as well as some pedestrians. What tips can we offer to drivers, especially when using signals in areas like this?
Well, as you can see, like you said just a while ago, we've had a number of persons utilizing this area. We have lots of pedestrian traffic and vehicular traffic in this area. Of course, you know, if you're familiar with this particular thoroughfare, there's a gas station, there's a Chinese food store, there's the super value food store. The 2 gas stations, as a matter of fact, the pharmacies, all of those are in this area and providing essentials for the general public. So what we want to advise as much as possible, if you intend to turn into any one of these business establishments, as much as possible, utilize your turning signals. And we were just discussing earlier how hand signals can contribute to persons, to other vehicles and pedestrians being able to see you if you want to turn into the different establishments. So along with your vehicle signals, you can also use your hand signals. And we were demonstrating earlier your hand signals. If you want to turn right, you lift your hands up like this, and if you want to turn left, you can extend your hand like this along with your signal to allow drivers to know where is it that you want to go. If you're trying to slow down and you want to add to your presence on the street, you just do your hands and slow down. And if you're driving the opposite hand vehicle, you want to do the same thing on the next side. So as much as possible, you want to be visible. You want to traverse the street, but you can. Caution. And it's us asking to be your brother's keeper as you traverse the streets today.
Well, some great information coming in there from Sergeant Johnson. Any final bits of advice? Again, I noticed that especially near the Phoenix supermarket, parking seems to be a bit of an issue. Some persons are illegally parking on the curb there. What advice can you offer to motorists there?
Well, yes, if you can remember yesterday, we talked about parking and persons parking, this double parking going on in this area. We find that even persons are parking on the curb. There are some areas that you're not allowed to park, and if you are parked in these areas, we're going to have you towed because it's going to inconvenience not only you, but other drivers who are trying to manipulate that intersection as well. So as much as possible, you can park in an area that is not causing any obstruction, as well as causing anybody to not see oncoming traffic. And another thing I want to note, as it pertains to kids traveling inside your vehicles, if you have a child in your vehicle, please secure that child in the rear seat. Do not have that child in the front seat or in between the seat. And I ask as much as possible for you to protect our little darlings.
All right, so some great advice coming in there. Of course, also on this interesting Friday, I've heard some drivers shouting out Cressida. Apparently, she has some fans in this area. So some good news there. Of course, they continue to watch the morning edition. Reporting for this beautiful Friday edition of Your First Look at Traffic with Sergeant Johnson and Lloyd Allen for the morning edition. LaDon, back to you guys in studio.
Thanks a lot, Lloyd. As we prepare for another lockdown, Commissioner of Police Paul Rose says the national lockdown operation has been going well as members of the public, for the most part, have been cooperating. Commissioner Rose also addressed why some restaurants are open and who would they serve at this time. His comments follow a report in a local daily claiming police were violating the lockdown orders.
Lockdown has been going pretty good, and I think there were some concerns from members of the public about the hours for pharmacy, and I made representation on that. And the pharmacies are open until 5 p.m. and but those restaurants remain closed. Saying some the restaurants that are allowed open are those that only, not to serve the members of the public, but we had requested persons who are cooking food for the prisoners in custody, and I think you would have seen some of that in the papers this morning. That's for the prisoners. That's what they were doing. But overall, the persons have been very cooperative with the lockdown, and there's not been much of an issue.
Charles Fisher continues his conversation with high-ranking women on the Royal Bahamas Police Force. This morning, he speaks with a lady who has come a long way through the ranks of the force.
Hailing from the island of Eleuthera, Chief Superintendent Maxine Leary-Roll is just 4 months shy of having spent 38 years, yes, 38 years on the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
I always wanted to be an officer. Miss Allardyce Strawn, retired superintendent, she was my mentor. When I came on the force, I actually came in a day late because I got the information late. So I came in a day late, so I came from Eleuthera, and I went straight into the police training college. We had 1 or 2 other Family Island persons there, so we just gelled together and they helped me along, so it was fine with my squad mates.
In all those years, she has made her rounds.
Coming out of the police training college, I went to Southern Police Station, or Southern Division, Clark Street Police Station. From there, I went into radio transport area, the control room section, and from there I went into CID, where I spent some 16 years. And after my stint there, I went into a new area called Inspection and Review that had the responsibility of going to all of the stations and divisions. I'm doing a thorough inspection of to ensure that they were following all of the commissioner's policies. I've been in charge of the Southeastern Division, or the East Street South Police Station, and the Eastern Division, or what they call Elizabeth Estates Police Station.
Chief Superintendent Leary-Roll also holds the distinction of being the first female to be in charge of a Family Island district. That was South Andros.
I enjoyed that, being in the community again, coming from a Family Island. I was back in the community, and it was an enjoyable experience for me. And I spent 3 years in South Andros. It was an easy transition because a lot of, I guess, officers think going to the Family Islands is difficult, but it is not. And I had a number of programs going on there, especially with the youth. I love dealing with the youth and making sure that they're going in the right direction.
Presently, she is in charge of the COVID hotline and also the public safety and operational support.
Being in that area, we are support to the divisional stations out there. And we also have the responsibility of ensuring that all of the major events, be it the Junkanoo Carnival, any major sporting events, any major church services, state-recognized funerals, official funerals, police, military funerals, and the like. I have the responsibility to ensure that they are all properly policed.
With all that on her agenda, just how does she manage work, family life, and some me time?
That happens when you have an understanding spouse. That happens. But it's not an issue because he knows my duties.
How do you balance your life with outside stuff? At least recreation, vacation, get out there, have some fun. Could I go on the beach? Could I do this?
I do that. I take my vacations and I have fun.
Chief Superintendent Maxine Leary-Roll proving that women can hold their own on the Royal Bahamas Police Force and doing it well. For the Morning Edition, I'm Charles Fisher.
Thanks a lot, Fisher. Coming up, meet the Primary School Student of the Year as she shares her educational plans for her future. You're watching The Morning Edition.
Our marine resources were once considered inexhaustible. Conch and reef fish like grouper were abundant everywhere, and it seemed as if the lobster catch would rise forever. But today, there is a downward trend that affects everyone. Researchers say we can reverse the trend by protecting more marine habitats. And the good news is that most Bahamians strongly support efforts to halt further decline. Tripling the size of our network of marine parks will mean more fish and conch for everyone now and for the future, as well as more recreational and ecotourism opportunities. Today, only 10% of our waters are protected. Surveys show that most Bahamians consider protection of our marine environment to be a top national priority. More protection means more benefits for everyone, now and in the future. It's a win-win-win strategy for the economy, for Bahamians, and for nature. Protect our sea, protect our way of life, protect the Bahamas. See the future. Visit Bahamas Protected on Facebook to learn more about marine protected areas.
We play just like your kids. We text just like your kids. We learn. We even cook. We take selfies. We have hobbies. And we love sports. In every way, we are just like everyone else and enjoy the same things and live our lives every day, just like you do. So if you happen to meet us, treat us just like everyone else. Because at the end of the day, we're just like you. Living life with Down syndrome is simply living. To learn more about Down syndrome, call 727-2105. This message is brought to you by the Grand Bahama Down Syndrome Society.
Well, the surge in COVID-19 cases and the ongoing threat of the virus has forced a number of students to attend social events and classes either virtually or with strict social distancing measures. But for one student, taking home the Primary School Student of the Year title was a moment she'll never forget. The morning team caught up with her to find out about the big win and her future plans despite the pandemic.
I feel ecstatic and kind of still surreal to me that out of 112 really amazing candidates, they still chose me to be Student of the Year.
In the midst of COVID-19, 12-year-old Haley Wilson struck gold by becoming the first student from Summit Academy to steal the hearts of the judges and capture the coveted Primary School Student of the Year title. Haley beat out 112 students from across this country to take home the winning trophy, a laptop computer, and a $7,000 scholarship. During an interview at Summit Academy and while practicing social distancing, Haley told us about how several clubs have boosted her leadership skills and why she felt she was chosen for the top prize.
I think I was chosen maybe because of my love and passion for the things I do. Because right now I'm involved in an after-school club at least 5 days of the week. On Monday, I do CCD classes. On Tuesday, I have Helping Hands Club. On Wednesday, I go to an ASMAC art class. On Thursday, I am an early act. And on Friday, I do chess club. I think all these extracurricular activities that I'm in, either they help my focus or they help me with my leadership skills. Because in order to be what I am right now, I think it's important to learn to focus on certain things. Like with chess club, that helps me focus on things because it's a game of strategy.
The well-rounded student plans to pursue a career in jewelry designing and business at a college or university of her choice, a career she says suffered and gained during the pandemic.
I want to own my own business because I like being the boss of myself, and I think probably jewelry and cosmetics because I've been making bead bracelets for autism awareness since I was in about third or first grade, and it's just something I really like doing because making these things, it kind of spreads awareness, and that's one of the many ways you can do it, influence people by jewelry or cosmetics and kind of just get awareness out there.
While conducting classes virtually during COVID-19 was not a challenge for Haley, she had these words of advice to her peers experiencing different circumstances.
Pace themselves and not to take on more than they know that they can handle because remember, it's also a balance of being a well-rounded student and being active in the community and also keeping your grades up because that's very important. So don't take on more than you can handle. Don't overstress yourself because that's also not very good for you.
In the forecast, an upper-level trough in the vicinity of the northwest Bahamas and a tropical wave in the southeast Bahamas will support showers and thunderstorm activity over the area today and tonight. A high-pressure ridge continues to generate moderate to fresh breezes mainly over the central and southeast Bahamas. Weather generally partly cloudy, hot and humid with a chance of scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms today. Conditions mostly fair and warm tonight. Daytime high temperature is 92 degrees. Overnight low temperature is 79 degrees. And we want to thank you for continuing to make ZNS your #1 news and information network. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better than ZNS. And that's a wrap for us this morning. For the entire morning team, I'm LaDawn Davis. Make it a great day and a safe weekend.
bumping, ducking.